So for my first task of the day was sorting out inventory stuff, which still has need to be completed this week, but I did make a start on it with a bit of help from James. So we wrote a new script, which was for containing all the items, which used strings and counters. So the string related to what piece was in the inventory system, like what custom or rock, and the counter added to it, so it know how many of each was in the inventory system. And we went with a bit of testing using the debug log to say that the when breaking up the rock, it added one in, and if there was nothing in there, it said none. And then used the R1 button, which cycled through the inventory system, and we changed like the numbers in the start method just to see if it cycled through properly, and that was all in working order. So then the next stage for this would be translating the inventory system to the functions of putting down the custom rock, because they'll be different of how so like the counterweight is put down and the rock throws, so they'll have to be different depending on what inventory system is using. And we just want to use one button for each use, which will make the gameplay a bit more like a full game. And then we have to use the UI system for the sprites of what the customs are shown on the screen, so that will be done at a later date. I then spent the rest of Tuesday doing some testing for the gameplay we had, because obviously we want, when adding in the artwork for the next bit, I have to make sure that the gameplay runs all properly. We tested out with some first years who the first few amendments was that the rock, they thought that both of them thought the rock had to be thrown at the bird, and the rock instead fell into the branch. So upon throwing it, it did complete the game properly, but they thought they'd done it wrong. So I added a bigger force to the rock, so when they threw it, it threw into actually towards the birds, and like disturbed the bird rather than just hitting the tree. So the player gets a better idea of what they have to do in the game. It actually looks like what they want to do rather than just throwing it against the tree. And at the start, the current camera starts and the player then moves off. But they thought that, of course, as when they get first into the scene, they try and move the player, but that's turned off. So they thought they're moving the camera, which makes it a bit muddled. So after testing that, I decided to start the camera on a different area, move to the bird first, and then eventually finish on the player rather than starting there as well. So they know that they don't move on the camera, and it's only the player that they can move. I then tested both the tutorial and the first level again for colliders. Did a few testing sessions with Adam as well, and there was points where they can be moved off, and it wasn't very clear what needs to be like where to go and stuff. So I need to make sure that the player can move off into areas where they went to, where they can get back. So that was just adding blockers in necessary places, changing the ladders around so they worked properly as well again. And another bit of feedback was that everything still needs to be a bit faster. So the tutorial level was fine, but just the first one, there was still felt quite slow when playing it. Even myself, I knew that. So what I did was just change around the gravity scales and sort of move where the edge guides are for some of the branches and the floors, just so the fruit moves down the scene quicker. Because currently, I don't think players will want it to just wait for ages to see it. Otherwise, it would be a bit of a tedious game rather than it being the enjoyment of watching the puzzle unfold. So I made amends for that, showing the video, and then we'll work on more of the inventory stuff tomorrow.